We've got a bunch of sounds to cover today. Remember that TH has two sounds. The unvoiced sound, which means if you put your hand on your throat, you won't hear your voice box vibrate, is th, like in thin, thick, bath, and path. The other sound is called the voiced sound. If you put your hand on your throat and do the th sound, you'll notice that it feels like it's vibrating. You can hear this sound in words like this, that, those, and these. If you have a word ending in THE, it's going to use this voice sound of th, and it may make the letter before the T have its long sound, like in bathe, lathe. A lathe is a woodworking tool. Breathe, EA uses its most common sound of E here. OA says O, so this is loathe. And this OO is going to use its OO sound in soothe, which means to comfort. If a C is followed by an E, I, or a Y, it uses its soft sound of S. So if you have an SC followed by an E, I, or a Y, it's going to have the same sound as S. You can hear that in words like seen, scenic. Scenic has the root of seen, so it has the long E sound. Scent, a scent is a smell. Ascent, notice that the A schwas, and ascent is the act of climbing. You can also hear it in words like scion. All of these underlined vowels are going to have their long sound. Scion, science. Notice this E makes the C have its soft sound of S. Disciple. Notice the I makes the C have its soft sound of S. And this E doesn't say anything. It's just here because every English syllable needs a written vowel, even though we can do the pull sound without having to actually say a vowel. So this word is disciple. We can even add prefixes like re. To rescind something means to take it back. Do you remember our THE rule where it has the voice sound of th? You can hear that in the word scythe. This E makes the Y have its long sound of the long I. So we have scythe, which is a type of tool used for harvesting grain. OUGH is a crazy letter team. The most important thing to remember is that most of the time the G and the H are silent. In most English words, G and H together are silent after vowels. In all of these words, the OUGH has the long O sound. Here we have though with the clear voiced sound. This A is going to have its broad sound of ah in although. Here's dough and donut. Although OR usually has the sound of or, in this word it sounds more like So we have thorough. When you do a thorough job of something, you were careful and complete. In these words, OUGH has a short O sound. Bought, brought, fought, and thought. In these words, it has a short O sound as well. Thoughtless. We can add suffixes. We can add prefixes like forethought. Forethought means to think ahead about something. Sought and ought. Ought means you should do something. OUGH does have some words where the G and the H have the sound of f, like in rough, tough, tougher. We've added the suffix This E will be long enough. So these words, the OUGH sounds like uff. In a few words, it sounds like off, like in cough and coughing and trough. A trough is a place where you put food for animals like cows and horses. Finally, we have a word where OUGH has the ow sound, like in bough. A bough is a tree branch. Sometimes we need to add a U after a G, not because we need a vowel sound, but to keep the G having its hard sound of G. Right here, I have made up some words that end in GE. In these words, the E would make the G have its soft sound of J and make the vowel 2 letters before it have its long sound. Again, these are not words that I've ever heard before. So we have fuge, vage, roge, and plage. But what if we wanted the word fugue or vague or rogue or plague? In order to keep the G having its hard G sound, we could add a U. Then the G is not followed by an E, and it can keep its hard sound. Although E usually only makes a vowel 2 letters before it have its long sound, in these words, it makes these vowels have their long sound, even though they're 3 letters away. So this would be fuge, and this is the word fugue. This would be vage, and this is vague. Roge, rogue, plage, and plague. G followed by a U still has a hard G sound, even if it's at the beginning of a word, like in guest. In these words, we also want to have a hard G sound before the letter I. So we have guide, guile, gild, guilt, and guilty. Notice that this Y has the long E sound like it usually does at the end of English words. AR says R, so we have guitar. EA will use its most common sound of the long E here, so we have guinea, like the country. GUY is the word guy. If you say you saw a guy, you mean you saw a man. If you say you saw some guys, you could be referring to a group of men or a group of people. Finally, we have some words where GU, rather than having just the hard sound of G, actually sounds like GW, where the U sounds like a W. You can hear this in words like penguin. Now, most of the time, NG has the sound of ng. But in this word, the N and the G still make their own sounds. So it's not penguin, it's penguin. You can hear the gw sound in this word, linguist. We can add a suffix, and it's linguistic. This part is pronounced gwish because SH says sh. So here we have anguish. We can add prefixes and suffixes, which I've marked in blue. Extinguish. Extinguish means to put out. Like you might get a fire extinguisher to put out a fire. We have distinguish and distinguished. If you like this video, please do me a favor and share it on X, Facebook, and WhatsApp to help the channel grow.